This past weekend's divisional round made for great TV, except for Chiefs-Texans, because I have come to accept the fact that as an opponent going up against the Chiefs is not just the Chiefs that you have to worry about, you also have to game plan for the Zebras. It's frustrating. It takes away from the viewer's experience. We just want to watch the games for the players and the highlight reels that they are going to put up and the coaching. Penalties, they're part of the game. We understand that as a referee, it's your job to call those penalties. But when you interrupt the flow of the game for penalties that should not have been called, it's like, all right, man, what are you doing here? Are you making this all about you? The Chiefs' second drive, 3rd and 8, Mahomes throws an incomplete pass, but the Texans get called for roughing the passer. It extends the Chiefs' drive, and Kansas City, they get a field goal out of it. I understand if Mahomes got drilled into the ground or whatever, but it was a light hit. At some point, we just need to let football be football. That was such a ticky-tack penalty, but it gets even worse because in the third quarter, Chiefs up by 1. It's 1st and 10 at their own 35. Mahomes runs for 9 yards, slides super late, barely gets touched as the two Houston defenders who were trying to make a play on Mahomes ends up colliding with each other. What happens? Flag is thrown, unnecessary roughness called on the Texans. That's a 15-yard penalty. That same drive, the Chiefs score a touchdown. And the referee that threw that flag, Clay Martin, gave an explanation on what went through his thought process to lead up to him throwing that flag on that play, saying, quote, "So he slid, obviously, and when he slides, he is considered defenseless. The onus is on the defender. I had forcible contact there to the hairline to the helmet." So there's two problems here. The first being when he slides, he's considered a defenseless player. We understand that, but when you slide as late as he did, we have to consider the element that is known as physics, where two Texans defenders were already initiating their movement to make a tackle on Mahomes. After doing that, Mahomes at the last second then slides down. It's like these refs expect for these defensive players to be Neo from the Matrix, that they can just stop midair, levitating, wait for Mahomes to go down, and then still in midair, levitate backwards, and then softly land their feet on the ground. Secondly, I had forcible contact there to the hairline to the helmet. The very definition of hairline when not talking about someone's hair is, and I quote, "a very thin or fine line." This is the sport of football we're talking about. Outside of, say, MMA is the most physical sport on the planet. Hits are going to happen, and in this case, a hit didn't happen except between the two Texans defenders. Mahomes, his helmet got lightly touched. It almost like a plastic butter knife spread a little bit of butter on top. And you mean to tell me, based off of your explanation, your words, not mine, that you're watching all of these plays, going through it with a fine-tooth comb and watching it with a magnifying glass? Soft. And it's a shame because we can't even focus on Travis Kelce's dominance, going back in time, channeling his prime to go over 100 yards. The Chiefs' defense smashing the line of scrimmage, taking away from a great story. Hey, Kansas City, they might three-peat. And instead of focusing on just that, we have to look at the officiating crew. The refs make it impossible to root for the Chiefs. So with that said, the Kansas City Zebras advance. Following that, we got Washington at Detroit. And with this one, we got a banger. Because with the Detroit Lions all season long, I get it because they've sucked forever and they actually have a chance to overcome all the odds and everyone talking trash about them, how they're a bottom feeder franchise. They have a chance to win the Super Bowl. They were the media darlings all year long. And they got smoked out their own building. Not enough kneecaps for breakfast, I suppose. Jared Goff transformed into Milhouse Van Houten from The Simpsons with 4 turnovers on the night. 3 of those turnovers being interceptions, one of those interceptions resulting in a pick 6. Lions as a team had 5 total turnovers. The defense, they gave up 5 touchdowns. And they're going to lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn in the offseason to head coaching jobs. So the Lions have a tough task at hand in trying to replace their 2 coordinators that both called plays on both sides of the ball to try and regain some of that continuity that they've had the last 2 years. And although the roster is going to remain the same, yes, they'll get Aiden Hutchinson back healthy next year. I think their title window is closed. Their chance of getting a championship was this year and last year. But Jayden Daniels came into the league with the same skill set as Lamar Jackson. I said at the time during the draft process that they're the exact same player. And to properly describe his performance in the divisional round, the Fox broadcast, they regurgitated the word poised like it was no tomorrow. I'm going to say he was stoic. The moment never got too big for him, that Jayden Daniels was the calm of the storm. And that this rookie quarterback is taking his team to the NFC Championship game, maybe even the Super Bowl. And that same rookie quarterback, I would say, is a top 5 quarterback in the league. The only quarterbacks I have ahead of Jayden Daniels are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Jayden Daniels, for me, is number 5. I'd take Daniels ahead of Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, any quarterback that you can think of outside of the top 4 that I mentioned. And however Washington's season ends, they are going to go into the offseason with $87 million in cap to spend to build the roster around their superstar quarterback on a rookie contract. That is crazy. They are about to be a force for the next 10 years at least. Rams at Eagles. I anticipated the Rams being a warm weather team from Southern California, that they're not built for the cold weather, and a winter storm being predicted to fly over Lincoln Financial Field, 33 degrees. This team is about to get steamrolled, and I was dead wrong. They fought their asses off. The defense got 7 sacks, a safety. Jared Verse went berserk. Kyron Williams went over 100 yards rushing. Stafford over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams put up over 400 yards of offense in the snowfall. It was a tight game, but the difference was turnovers. The Eagles protected the football, and the Rams, they turned it over twice, both being in the 4th quarter. Kyron Williams fumbled. Stafford got strip sacked. Both recovered by Philly. Both turnovers turned into field goals for the Eagles. And yet, it still came down to the final drive for Los Angeles. It's a 6-point game. Rams get into the red zone, and Jalen Carter takes over. Back-to-back plays, sending his team to the NFC Championship game. 3rd down, got a sack. 4th down, pressure on Stafford led to an errant pass, turnover on downs. And you knew coming out of Georgia that he was going to be a stud. And the saying goes that I think gets oversaturated at times. Big time players make big time plays and big time moments. Well, last night, that was Jalen Carter's moment. And shout out to Howie Roseman. First off, building the roster from the inside out. The Eagles have always focused on building the trenches on both sides of the ball. And to go from the great player that is Fletcher Cox to Jalen Carter seamlessly, that's crazy. And of course, for the Eagles on offense, it was all Saquon. Over 200 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. I can only imagine trying to tackle Saquon Barkley baseline is super tough, but having to tackle him in 33-degree weather with snowfall, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But it sets up a super exciting NFC Championship game. Washington at Philly. This is going to be the 3rd meeting between the 2 teams this year, and it's an even split. Both teams have 1 win apiece. That is the home team getting those wins. Can Washington win on the road, or will Philly just have too much experience and they're the home team and be too much for the Commanders to overcome? We'll see. But I'm so looking forward to that conference championship. And lastly, we got Ravens at Bills. The top two favorites for MVP, Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. For Allen, the passing wasn't spectacular, just 127 yards through the air, but he did run for 2 touchdowns himself. Lamar Jackson in the first half was awful. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Lamar is never beating the playoff allegations, is he? Buffalo up 21-10 at the half. Second half, Baltimore shortens the gap, scored 9 unanswered points. Bills answer that with a field goal. It's 24-19. 12 minutes left in the game. Ravens' final 2 drives destroyed by Ravens tight end Mark Andrews. After catching a 16-yard pass, the ball gets punched out. It's a fumble recovered by Buffalo. Buffalo turns that into 3 points. And then comes the killer. It's still a 1-possession game, down 8 points. Lamar Jackson leads an 88-yard touchdown drive. They just gotta convert the 2-point conversion. Ball snaps. It's a beautiful play design. Mark Andrews drags right on the outside, and he's wide open by himself. And this isn't a bullet pass short. It's a short, soft pass. You are one of the best tight ends in the league. You make that catch, ball into the end zone, and we're taking this bad boy into overtime. Instead, he drops it. Game over, season over for Baltimore. And it's a shame because I'm sure that the narrative is going to continue in the media that Lamar Jackson can't get it done in the playoffs. The first half, he was really bad. The second half, he was great. He did everything possible to give his team a chance to win. What will Baltimore do with Mark Andrews next season? He has a $16 million cap hit. I don't know if you ride with that. Maybe they cut him or let him ride it out or let the contract expire after next year. Isaiah Likely, I think, is the better tight end. But either way, the conference championship games in the AFC, you've got Bills at Chiefs. In the NFC, you got Commanders at Eagles. Can't wait.